Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Spilt the Plot. Thank you so much for being here. I am really excited to be here for another week, but today is a really exciting episode. Today actually wraps up our first ever book club episodes where we've actually finally finished our first book club book, which is none other than Twilight. First of all, thank you so much if you've been reading along or listening, or if this is not really in live time for you, you've found it a little bit later on. Welcome to the last episode for our awesome book of Twilight. I have really enjoyed being back in this world. As I say every single week, it's just so nostalgic. It's that perfect time of year. It's winter here in New Zealand, and it's just been so nice to be back in Twilight. I am really excited because I have actually said to myself, once I finish this book, I am going to read the whole entire Twilight series, and I am so excited. I think either tonight or tomorrow night will be the night that I will binge watch the Twilight series. I just want to watch all of them all in one go. I love the Twilight series so much, especially the movies. The books are great, but there's just something about seeing it play out, and there are little differences, but it's not huge. So I'm really excited to just quickly summarize this book. And I do want to say at the end of today's episode, I will be revealing our new book club read. I did put a poll or a vote out for everybody to pick some books. The books that I had put out on the poll, though, were books that I have and were really intrigued to kind of do a book club episode. It's so hard to say book club episode, but you know what I mean. I would love to actually read the book and then talk about it with you guys and for you guys to listen about it. So those were the 4 books that I had recently got and were interested in doing book club episodes about, and then I just let you guys vote, and we did get a winner by quite a bit. I was worried. I had checked it maybe hour 15, I think it was, and it was like half and half between 2 books. And then I checked right before the end of the poll vote, and this one won by quite a few votes, which I'm really excited for. I am not complaining with the book choice. I am so happy. But anyway, let's jump into Twilight and let's summarize the last bits and bobs of this book. So to summarize in full before we actually jump into the chapters, we kind of finished off last time. She had got to Arizona with Alice and Jasper, and she had fallen asleep for a nap. These last few chapters really just close it all up. We have a little incident with James, and she leaves a cute little leaves a little letter for Jacob. I'm sorry. What is going on with my brain today? Edward. She leaves a letter for Edward, and she basically just gaps it. She runs. She disappears from Alice and Jasper, and she goes for a run. She ends up in a little bit of a predicament with James. Oopsies. And then stuff happens. I feel like summarizing is just going to basically explain the whole thing. So I'm actually just going to jump into chapter 21. So jumping into chapter 21, as I said last, I remember Alice had a vision about James being in a room full of mirrors, and Bella was figuring it out that it might be her old dance studio. So when she was really little, she went to a ballet studio. And she also realizes after they talk about it, and they're like, why would they have any significance to you? And she's like, my mum lives near the ballet studio. So they're like, oh crap, we need to make sure your mum's okay. So Bella tries to call her mum, but it goes straight to voice message. So Bella just leaves her a voice message, and she's like, please don't go anywhere. Please keep yourself safe. And then she takes a nap. And I said at the end of the last episode, this girl just sleeps through everything. She's like, nap, I'm going to sleep, I'm going to nap. Like any anything she's going through, like, she just needs to sleep. And I've noticed that with like every single thing that happened to her. She's like, I just need to sleep it off, which if that works for her, that works for her. Anyway, now we're in chapter 21, and she wakes up from her nap, and Alice tells her that Edward is coming to take her to a safe place and that Jasper and herself will stay to keep her mum safe. So Edward is coming from Forks over to Phoenix, and she's going to basically go with Edward, and Alice and Jasper will keep an eye on her mum, which Bella's a little bit like, okay, like she seems a little bit like unsure about it, but she's excited to see Edward. She hasn't seen him in a while, so she's excited about that. And then later that afternoon, Bella's mum calls their phone, but her mum sounds distressed, and then James' voice comes across the phone saying, do exactly as I say and she will be fine. And basically the whole phone call, he is telling her to say things to make Alice and Jasper not think anything's wrong, saying things like, you're going to say this so that they don't suspect anything's bad. So she does as he says, and then she hangs up the call, and Bella decides that she's going to keep everyone safe by lying to Alice and Jasper about what happened on the phone call. Like, she's not going to tell them what's happened because she's worried that it might lead them to panic, and she doesn't want to be a burden. That's the biggest part here. She doesn't want to be a burden. She doesn't want to put anyone else in harm's way. She's like, he wants me, like this has to do with me. So she's like, I'm not going to tell anybody. Then Bella writes a letter which she tells Alice is for her mum, quote unquote for her mum, being like, no, can you like leave this for my mum? It's for her. But it's actually to Edward. And she's apologizing because she says to him basically, don't come after me. I'm really sorry. Like, I need to do this. And she starts to plan her escape from Alice and Jasper, basically. That's kind of what her letter is about. And that is the end of chapter 21. So we jump into chapter 22, and they all head, so all three of them, they head to the airport to await for Edward to arrive from Forks. And Bella lies and says that she needs to go to the restroom. And I remember Alice being like, okay, I'll come with you. And she's like, no, like I want Jasper to come with me. So Jasper goes with her, and they head to the bathroom, quote unquote. If you're listening, I'm like doing bunny ears, quote unquote bathroom. But instead of going to the toilet, she can see the elevator. I can't remember if it's the elevator or the escalator, and she just gaps it. She just makes a full-on run for it. And she jumps into this taxi, and she gives him money, and she's like, go, like, we need to go. So he goes. I think she gives him a lot of money to the point where he was supposed to take someone else, but she jumped in, and so he left, like he was gone. Bella makes it to her mum's house, and she puts the code into the keypad, and she enters the kitchen, and the phone rings at Bella's mum's house, and Bella answers it. It is none other than James, of course, on the other line, asking her if she knows her way to the ballet studio, because he goes, well, that didn't take you very long, or that didn't take much energy for me to get you here. Do you remember the ballet studio? She's like, yes, I know my way there. So he says, I'll see you soon. And she hangs up the phone and goes to the studio. Bella enters the dance studio, and she can hear her mum calling for her. But when she finds the source of the noise, she realizes it is a video of her on a TV from Thanksgiving when she was 12. And I remember watching this bit in the movie for the first time and like freaking out for Bella. I was also very dramatic at this time, and I thought that, like, you know, I thought this was real. I thought this was real stuff when I first watched this. So Bella is now like, oh crap, what have I done? And she turns around, and James is standing behind her by the exit door, and he proceeds to explain to her how he decided to get her to the ballet studio. So he basically goes on this long journey of a story saying, this was my plan. Victoria was still in Forks. She was keeping an eye on Emma and Edward for me. Rah. And then he says he wants to leave his own letter, because she mentions about a letter or something or other, and he says to her that he wants to leave his own letter to Edward because this is all for him. That Bella is purely just a human in the wrong place at the wrong time. So as a tracker, he noticed that Edward was keeping a human safe, and he basically set a task down to want to hurt Edward by killing Bella, essentially. And Bella is starting to feel nauseous. She's like, oh my goodness, what have I done? Like, what am I going to do now? And then he says that they should just get it over and done with. He's like, let's just get this over and done with. I want to film it. Like, I want to make this all for this thing for Edward to show him, so that everybody can, basically he wants to leave a message to say, hey, look, I've done this. Give them a letter and a video being like, this is what happened, just to torment Edward. Like, that's crazy. But as a tracker, that's like his thing, which is so weird. Bella then tries to run to the door, but he is there in a flash, obviously, vampire. And then this was an interesting end to this chapter. Bella's something hits Bella in the face. She smashes against a window and she becomes dizzy and can feel blood running down her shirt. So she kind of is discombobulated the right word? Maybe it's the right word, discombobulated. And it was such in the book, when you read it, for those that are reading it, it kind of just comes out of nowhere. She's like, and then something hits me in the face. And we're not really sure actually what it is. And that ends chapter 22. So then we go to chapter 23, and Bella thinks she is dead. And I don't know if this is bad, but I was kind of giggling because she was like, she thinks she's talking to angels, and she's hearing Edward's name, hearing Carlisle's name, but she's like, I'm talking to the angels. And I think it was either Alice or Edward's voice talking to her. But then, yeah, she hears Carlisle's name and hears multiple people talking around her, and there's a sobbing noise in the background. She's like, I don't think the angels should be sobbing. So I think she comes to. Then Carlisle mentions that she was bit, and Alice tells Edward that he needs to suck the venom out because there's venom now inside her and it's moving all around her. And so he does. And Bella mentions that it is, well, she doesn't say it out loud, but we read it in her dialogue, that it is extremely painful to begin with, but then the pain begins to ease. And I don't know if you've seen the movie, but this is the part where he really, really, really struggles to pull himself away from it, because once he starts to suck out the blood, they're like, okay, that's it. You've got the venom out. Sorry. Once he starts to suck out the venom, that's what I was meaning to say, he then sucks all the venom out and then is now draining her blood. And they're like, you need to stop. But he's really struggling. He can't. They're trying to tell him, you've got to remember, who you are. You've got to remember who she is. So he ends up pulling away, obviously. And Bella kind of comes to, and she mentions to them that her mum is still in Florida and she is safe and she just wants to sleep. So they're like, yep. They pick her up, and I think Edward is like, yes, you can go to sleep. Just have some rest. And that ends chapter 23. It was a small chapter 23, but then we jump into chapter 24. And Bella wakes up in the hospital with Edward by her side. And he mentions that her mum is just grabbing some food. So she's there, she's at the hospital, but she's just grabbing some food. And Emma and Jasper dealt with James once they left. So I actually forgot to mention, in chapter 23, there is a mention of smelling gasoline. And again, if you've watched the movie, we kind of see it in the background happening where I think Ellis does this like crazy like leg wrap around his head and like snaps his neck. And then I think it's Ellis. And then they just set him on fire. Like it looks really cool in the movie. Anyway, Bella and Edward talk for a bit and she asks him what his mum thinks she's doing at the hospital. Like she's like, what does my mum think you're doing here? Like, what does she know about the story? And he told her that he was coming to convince her to come back to Forks. So that was the reason he was there. And also the story about why she's so injured was that she fell down some stairs. And I think she like crashed into a window or something like that. I feel like bite marks in your arm could not explain falling down the stairs and window, but I was just like, you know what? Who cares? I'm living for the storyline. So then her mum comes in and talks to Bella, where she also mentions that Phil has gotten signed, and she also mentions that he got signed by the son, and she's really excited for Bella to move home, that, you know, Phil will have a really good setup for them. But she's like, no, Mum, I live in Forks now. Forks is my home and I'll be staying in Forks. That's where I'm going to go. And she kind of is trying to convince her. I think she feels a little bit like nervous about her with Edward. But she kind of is like, okay, all right, like if that's what you want, then you can stay in Forks. Then Bella's mum leaves her and Edward to talk again, and he talks about how he feels again and how he wants to keep her safe, but she says she wants to move back to Forks and be with him, but he's a little bit nervous that he's gonna continuously put her in danger if she comes back, but she's very adamant she is coming back. She's not going to be moving in with Phil and her mum. Then Bella also mentions, this is so cute the way she did this. So she says, one day I will grow old and die and he won't, and she's going to get grey basically, and he's going to be this like gorgeous piece of artwork while she's growing old. And she subtly kind of says that she wants to be a vampire or live eternally with him. And Edward refuses the idea, saying he doesn't want to damn her to eternity. And you can see it's just because he doesn't want to put that on her when she has the option. The rest of them got turned by Carlisle because they didn't have that option. You've got Rosalie, who is jealous that Bella even has that option and now she wants to, and he's like, no. And he was very, very sick, about to die, and that's why Carlisle changed him. So his reasoning also kind of looks like it's more around that space of like, you are well and healthy and you have this option to stay human, which we would probably all choose, but yet you want to be one of us. He's like, no, I don't want to damn you to that. And at the end of this chapter, the nurse brings in Bella's meds and she takes another nap. This girl in her naps, damn. I mean, obviously I know that she's just had a very traumatic experience and she's in a lot of pain. It's just a lot of this book has been like, and Bella goes to sleep and Bella wakes up and Bella has a nap and Bella wakes up. Anyway, that actually kind of finishes the book. The epilogue, though, I feel like this is such a great epilogue. The reason I love epilogues so much is because you finish the book and you're like, oh, I'm done. And then you're like, no, the epilogue actually has like the kind of bits and pieces to lead you into the next book, or kind of wrap it all up and finish the book off. So Edward takes Bella to prom. I love this so much, and I love that she goes in her moon. But Bella is mortified and angry. She's like, oh, I don't really want to go. This is gonna suck. But Edward is very determined to get her there to have like humanly experiences, you know? But when they get to the dance, she's like, oh, she's basically like, oh, I hate this, I don't want to be here. But she notices Jacob across the dance floor, and he approaches her and Edward. And Edward is reading his mind, and he says to Bella, he wants to chat with you. So Jacob comes over and he asks to cut in, which Edward kind of lets him do begrudgingly. Like he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, you can cut in." And they start to dance, and Jacob tells Bella that Billy paid him. So if you don't remember, Billy is Jacob's dad. He paid Jacob to come to prom. I think it was to look out for her, but he also mentions it was a safe place to talk to her about something that needed to be said to her. And then Jacob says to Bella, Billy wants her to break up with Edward because he feels like Edward is the reason she got hurt in Phoenix. So he's kind of like butting in, and it's more along the lines of just wanting to keep her safe because he is really close with Charlie, and he just wants to look out for Charlie and Bella, obviously. But she basically just brushes it off. She's like, no, I'm absolutely fine. Like, he saved my life. Like, I'm here today because of Edward. You guys have nothing to worry about. So Jacob just ends up leaving the conversation, and he says, Billy told him to tell her that they'll be watching. And he says, like, this is not plurals of me, this is plurals of my dad. Like, it's not me. I just been kind of the messenger, and I was paid to be here. So then Edward butts back in, and then they talk about everything Jacob said, because obviously Edward can hear what Jacob is saying. And Bella then explains to him, like, he's got nothing to worry about. Like, she basically really, really loves him. And then Bella asks maybe if he's changed his mind about changing her. And this is a really cute scene to kind of end the book on. He kind of like makes her think that he has changed his mind. So he like leans into her neck, but he just kisses her. But she like thinks that it's going to happen right then and there. It's like, especially in the movie, I'm like, okay. But he ends up saying, like, I will love you forever. Is that not enough? And she's like, yes, it is enough. And he's like, okay, then I will love you forever. And then they kiss under the twilight. That ends the book. Guys, I'm kind of sad that it's over. I really, really, really liked being back in this world, and I really savored reading this. Like, I did not read this all in one go and then prepare these episodes. I actually read it in the time frame of like for the episode. Like, I would read it getting ready for these episodes. I don't know how to explain it. I hope you know what I mean. I really, really, really savored this because I loved being back in this world. And I'm kind of contemplating just reading the rest of the series just in my own time, just so that I can get through the rest of them, but also in a way that I really loved being in this world. So maybe I might just keep going, but not for book club episodes. Yeah, we will see. You'll obviously see me post about it all the time if I'm still in this world, but I do have a really, really exciting new series that I want to bring to my content. So hopefully I will be able to maybe read these in between. I don't know, but stay tuned because I am thinking and planning a really, really exciting series for content. So now that we are officially finished summarizing the chapters, I wanted to talk about some characters and just like how I'm feeling overall in general. First of all, I just want to mention my heart lies with Charlie. Like, he is one of my favorite characters in this book. I feel so bad for him. Like, he has one daughter. She moved away. She didn't want to be in this small town, which fair enough. And now she's back, and he's just trying to be the best dad he can. And it just really breaks my heart in the part where, she has to lie to keep him safe, but it hurts how like hurt he was. And it just made me so sad. I really, really, really hated that part. Even just watching it or even reading it, like, it just sucks. And And again, if you weren't aware, I am Team Jacob. Every single possible moment Jacob is in the book, I'm just so excited. And I think that's one of the reasons why I want to read New Moon afterwards, is because he is predominantly more in New Moon, and it's more that time frame where they have their little moment. Oh, I love it so much. And so yeah, that I am Team Jacob with my whole heart. Even though I feel like Edward is very romantic and very cute, I am Team Jacob. The Cullens, love the Cullens, every single one of them. I feel for Rosalie because I get where her jealousy is coming from, and I understand that, you know, she didn't choose the life she has now, but Bella can, and she chooses to spend that time with vampires. Like, she's like, what are you doing? Like, go live your human life, you know? You're not bound by these chains of A, being a vampire, B, can't go in the sun, and C, you live for eternity. You have no choice about that. Bella's friends, I don't know how I feel about them. The girls are like okay and they're lovely, but at the same time, like, they seemed a little bit jealous of Bella, and the boys are just annoying, just outright annoying. I don't even remember if, like, what that looks like in the next few books and in the next few movies, like what that actually looks like for Bella and her friends, but those boys are just so annoying. But yeah, overall, I definitely would rate this a 5 out of 5 stars. I don't think it deserves any less, and if I could, I would definitely give it more stars. I would never vote the Twilight series any lower than a 5 stars. The whole series together and every single book, it would be crazy of me, I feel like, to sit here and give this any less than 5 stars. So my official star rating for Twilight is 5 stars. So that concludes everything that I want to do to talk about Twilight. And I'm, again, like I said earlier, I'm really sad it's over, but we do have something really exciting that we do need to reveal for our next book club episodes, and that is obviously our new book club. And like I said earlier on in today's episode, I did put a poll out. It was kind of 50-50 between 2 books. I put out 4 books. It was 50-50 between 2 books, but then one ended up winning by quite a bit. And I am really, really excited to announce that our next book club read will be The Deal by Ellie Kennedy. I am so excited. This is going to be so good. If you don't know already, I am obsessed with Off Campus, and I'm one of those people that did not read the book before the show came out, and now I'm so obsessed that I need to read the whole series. So y'all voted for The Deal by Ellie Kennedy, and that is the first book in Off Campus. I'm really, really excited. I love Hannah Wowsey and I love Garrett Graham so much, so I'm really excited to actually see how their story was actually written through the book. I know that there's quite a few differences, so I'm really, really excited to read it. I don't feel like I'm going to get bored because I've watched the show. I feel like I'm going to love this. Like, hands down, this is going to be my favorite book for a while. I can just feel it. And if I don't, I think I might get sad. And just watch and just binge Off Campus just to make me feel better. But that is our next book club read, and we will be reading to chapter 21. So we will be reading 20 chapters until the next book club episode. It sounds like a lot, but it is 188 pages. So we'll read to 188, and I feel like in 2 weeks it is very doable. They're not huge chapters compared to this beast right here, where Twilight was 20 chapters. It was huge, like a lot. So we'll be reading 188 pages for the next book club episode, and I'm really, really excited to just talk about it, talk about the characters, talk about how I'm feeling. There's no other word for it. I've said excited so many times that if you took a shot, you'd be so blackout drunk right now for how many times I've said excited. But that concludes today's episode. Thank you so much for being here for another book club episode and just an episode in general. I am really, really excited for next week's normal episode. It's going to be a really, really good episode. And I really hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week until I see you next Wednesday. If you are listening in the morning, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If you're listening in the car, please drive safe. And if you're listening at night, have a wonderful sleep with good dreams. And I will see you next week at the same time. Bye.